Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Drobo in 2024. This is a look at a new to me Drobo B810i unit, the iSCSI unit. This is, I believe, the latest large NAS that came out from by Drobo before they went bankrupt. I want to say 2016. I could be totally wrong on the year. Anyway, this is one of the latest units they had. Pretty nice. I just got it booted up, and as you can see on the screen there, I got it pulled up in the Drobo app. Haven't put any drives in yet. We're going to put drives in this video just for interest's sake. But I'm upgrading. If this is stable, I'm upgrading from a Drobo 5N. And sorry for the dust on my screen. You'll forgive me for that. But here is the Drobo 5N. This has worked for me for several years without issue. I've got, 5 bays filled up. Let's take a look at this. So you can see I've got 3 4 terabyte drives and 2 3 terabyte drives. Total capacity here is 9 total. I've got dual disk redundancy on, and so you can see the space there. About 7.3 terabytes used for protection, and the rest used for data. 9 gigs or terabytes rather for data. So it's not focusing. But I was interested. I have a couple of 2 terabyte drives which I just took out of this, which were totally fine, but I just ran out of space. And I've always been interested in getting looking at the larger units. This particular one is an 8-bay unit. So if we go here, you can see the 810i. Click on that. Now it's looking for a drive, but it is the 10-bay drive. So see, I haven't even put one in there, and you can see I use it for Time Machine on this. We've got a household of Macs. It's just kind of turned out that way. Some iPhones, iPad, that sort of thing, all used. I don't really have anything new, including this Drobo. But the use of 8 bays and using those smaller drives and just adding another drive is interesting to me, because I end up throwing out a 2 terabyte drive to get a 4 terabyte. But that 2 terabyte was totally fine. So, and these have come down way in price. I got this particular 810i for about 150 Canadian, and it came as used for parts only. I haven't actually tested it out. I haven't put it through its runs yet. It doesn't look particularly dusty. Let's take a look at the back of it. Seemed to start up fine. I'll kind of walk you through the setup of it too, because you do need to use the management port. The management port is the only port on this guy that starts up with DHCP. So you plug your Ethernet cable into the management port first, and then you can get into it with the Drobo app. The Drobo app eventually sees it, and then you can go figure it. So it's got a regular kettle plug there. I use that from another device, and 2 iSCSI ports, which really, in layman's terms, are just network ports. You can plug them into your switch, or you can plug them directly to a computer, and it works fine. They auto-negotiate, all that good stuff. Yeah, the nice thing about it is you can tie these 2 ports together to get double the network speed. So when you have multiple Macs or Windows machines, for that matter, on the network, which I do, then having 2 ports on this will speed up every backup quite a bit. And as I say, the B810i was one of the later units to come out. So I want to quickly show what I had to do to get the network set up here. So if you click, once you see it here and you click on it, then you can go to Drobo settings, and you'll have the option of network. So this is when you're plugged into the management port, into your switch, and then your Drobo app sees it, Drobo dashboard. And here you can actually set the various IPs. So you can set, not focusing, you can set the iSCSI 1, iSCSI 2, and you'll see on my network it's a 5.200 network. My original Drobo was on 5.200 to keep it away from my DHCP range, which is lower, about 1 to 100 or so. And here's a DHCP. So the management, you can set it up as a DHCP port. So you plug that guy in first, and then you can go and configure your iSCSI ports for the particular IP address and network. Will it focus? Here we go. And you can see the config I have there. So yeah, so that's how you do that, and you can set the frame size as well, which is nice. So I left it at 1500 right now, but if you set that larger, it'll work more efficiently moving big amounts of data. So I'll go ahead and cancel that because I've already set this up. So once you've got that IP set up, then you switch your Ethernet cable to, in this case, my iSCSI 1. I haven't got a second network cable set up there. And then restart it, and eventually it will come up in the Drobo dashboard again. So what I'm going to do now is actually going to load this with a couple of hard drives. I have a couple 2 terabyte hard drives. Let me pull them out here. I guess this is going to be a one-take wonder. These are a couple of drives that I actually pulled out. Actually, one came out of my desktop. I upgraded to SSD, and the other, I think it was this WD here. This came out because I ran out of space on the Drobo on the 5N, which is over there, plugging away. And these units have been flawless for me. I've never had any troubles. A lot of people say they have troubles, but these units have worked good, and I have these left over. I was going to sell them, but then I thought, well, maybe it's a good opportunity since this particular one is a number of years old and I've been running out of space. It would be nice to have something with a couple more drives. And these, you can get the FS, the Drobo FS, and the 800N, which is the standard network, and this is the iSCSI. But you can get them all pretty cheap, used for parts. You take a risk, but as usual, this doesn't seem to have any issues. So I'm going to spin this around, and we'll plug a hard drive into it and just see what it does. All right, so here we are with the Drobo. I'll put the drive in, and I'm screen recording as well. So it should come up in a picture-in-picture. We're going to see how easy this is to put in first of all, and see if it recognizes it well. Give it a good push there, and we'll wait for it to show up on the screen. And I'll pull this over here as well, just in case the screen recording is not working for some reason, but it's thinking about it. There it is there. Oops. It finally sees a drive there. Now it's going to attempt to format it. So let's see what happens here. It does see a 2 terabyte drive, and it shows critical for some reason. Probably have to set something up here. Let's take a look here. 2 terabyte drive. We probably need at least 2. I'm assuming it wants at least 2. In order to mount and or format a Drobo iSCSI volume on this host, the Atto iSCSI software must be installed. Interesting. I'm going to plug in the second drive and see what happens. Maybe you need another piece of software. Check for updates. Yes. A new version. Would you like to install? Sure. Okay. It looks like there's some sort of firmware file that it's able to locate and download. I don't know if Drobo servers are operational though. I certainly didn't think they were. This would be surprising if this works. I suspect it. Oh yeah, okay, it's gonna fail, right? Okay, so I may have to get that from somewhere. So let's plug the second battery or the second drive in, and let's just see if that does anything different. It probably won't. It'll probably say we still need the software, but we'll look into that. Second drive in. And will it recognize it? It's thinking about it. Lights on the side are doing something else here. There, now it does have another drive detected. So now we got to get some other software to go ahead and configure this. And it seems like the detail is down there. So we have to get this Drobo iSCSI Atto iSCSI software. We'll see if we can find that next. Okay, from here on in, I'll do a voiceover, kind of sum up what I did. I did get this Addo Extend SAN software. You can get a couple different pieces of software. There is even some free stuff out there if you want to configure Mac OS, some different ones for Windows. But you do need this software on a host system, if not on, one of them, possibly on each of them that are going to connect. It seems to me. I'm not an iSCSI expert, but that's what I ran into. It's a little complicated, honestly. And for some of these pieces of software like Addo, you can get a 30-day free trial, which I did. But after that, you have to pay, I think it's $200 for the software. So you have to decide at that point whether it's worth it. Now, if it worked perfectly and it was super easy to use, then I might have thought about that. Here you can see I have it connected up and connected with the target name. iSCSI, it's a whole thing. You need to kind of check out the YouTube videos on how to configure it. Eventually, it does see the iSCSI device on the network, and you can connect up. But this is to get access from the different hosts, so that the hosts see it as a hard drive, basically. Without it, your computers don't really see it properly as a hard drive. And like I say, you have to pay for it. You have to install it on various PCs to get access to it. I could be wrong. You may have better luck than I. But it didn't seem to work as well as the straight up network version of it. Although it's supposed to be a bit more efficient and faster. I think if you really want a NAS drive, you should get not the iSCSI, but the B810N unit. And that's in fact what I did end up doing. I went ahead with the B810N unit because this one would not rename the share or the partitions would not rename themselves. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's this iSCSI thing. And then I kept losing connectivity to the target, and the fact that these pieces of software I had to have on each of my systems, apparently to configure it and connect to it to see it as a hard drive. It was a pain, and you got to go through all this configuration in this SAN software, which for the 810N you don't have to do any of. I already have the Drobo 5N. It just works on the network, and I don't have a lot of connectivity issues. And I mean, for the small performance gain, I'm already using the Drobo, which is already slower than QNAP and all these other things you can get right now. 50 megs a second, maybe 80 megabytes a second transfer. But I don't really care about that. I just use it for backup. I don't use it for streaming anything. So it doesn't have to be super fast. And for files, it generally works. Like I use it for our iTunes folder. By the way, you can kind of follow along on the screenshots of what I'm doing there. But it just takes a lot of configuration, a lot of back and forth. I didn't really know how to do it. The instructions on it are kind of hard to find. You can get the version update for the unit itself, the firmware update. I think it's in the Wayback Machine, and there's another location where you can get a file for it, by the way. But unless you really want to tinker with iSCSI, it seemed to me that the network version, the 5N, and then the B810N is maybe going to be the way to go. If you want a lot of performance, well, you're probably not going with Drobo anyways. So here's I had tried this other piece of software, and it simply would not connect. I think it wasn't the Addo, it was another iSCSI piece of software. And I wasn't sure what was happening, to be honest. I was trying to connect to it, and it wouldn't connect. And you go through the parameters, and eventually it connects up to it and it sees it. But I didn't really have my head around what exactly was going on. So all blathering aside, I ended up getting an 810N. Now, funny thing is, I'm still working on it because I purchased a broken one, which I didn't realize. And it has an issue with the backplate board on it. So I'm troubleshooting that. There's a short on the 810N. But I think for most users, just get the network version. Skip the iSCSI. It requires all the extra software and configuration and stuff, and the regular version just works. These are getting cheaper and cheaper. You can get them for about $300 for a known working one on eBay right now. They get more expensive as people include hard drives in them. Like I said, I did eventually get this going. It just wasn't as stable, it seems, as my 5N, and and I felt the configuration was just too confusing, and if I get hit by a bus, no one's going to know how to run this thing. So, you know, your mileage may vary with the iSCSI, but you can get the iSCSI versions for cheaper, basically because I think nobody wants them. Nobody knows how to do anything with them. I didn't, like I said, I did get mine going, but I couldn't rename the partitions. I couldn't really configure it properly. I couldn't format it. It took me a while to format. You can use Disk Manager to format it, by the way, once it sees it. And it does kind of work, but the whole process was just so confusing and kludgy. I just didn't trust it for my regular backups. So I will be coming out with a video about the 810N when I get it going, and you know, even my 5N works very, very fast. I'm using it right now as I speak. You can see it right there, and it works just fine. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.